Hello and welcome back to Pin My Podfics. This is the reading of Chapter 3, A Game of Liars, from the fic called Zutopia by Itslivybear. And this is recorded right after the second one, so I am going to drink some water before starting to actually record the chapter. Alright, back. The chapter summary is Izuku's first lesson with Nedzu. Izuku found himself on the train, heading towards UA, backpack in hand. It had always been his dream to go to UA one day, as a student no less, because it was the best hero school ever. Even All Might went there. He had assumed, however, that this would happen later when he was 14 and this was his high school, but he was there. Here he was, age 8, and yes, technically a student here. He looked at the H-shaped building and walked through the gate with a deep breath. Nedzu had given him a pass so the gate wouldn't lock him out, but other than that, had not given the boy directions. It will be a fun puzzle. All you have to do is find my office. Worry not, it won't be difficult for you. All the staff does know you're coming. It would be fine. Kayama and Marie had a free block in the morning, so she used it to plan her lesson, like any responsible teacher would. If she happened to not get much done, it was because it was the first thing in the morning. So really, who could blame her? She stepped outside to go to the bathroom with a sigh before she bumped into something that barely came up to her knees. She blinked and looked down, seeing a small child. "Oh, hello there, little guy. How'd you get in here?" If security had failed so that a random child could just walk into UA, someone was going to die. "Oh, hello, Miss Midnight." Wait, he recognized her. What the hell? What? I had the pass so the gates didn't close. How did you get the pass, kiddo? Nedzu gave it to me? What? Why would Nedzu give a pass to this tiny kid? Wait a minute. She paled and swallowed. How old are you, sweetheart? He blinked up at her, shy. I'm 8, Miss Midnight. Sweet lord, Nedzu's personal student was fucking 8 years old. The rest of the staff needed to be informed before it was too late. Maybe they could still get the kid out before it was too late and the rat corrupted his mind. They did not need another Nedzu running around, and this kid looked really sweet. Can you help me find his office? He never said I couldn't ask for help. Nope. It really was too late. She couldn't take this kid to Nedzu. She could not take the kid to Nedzu at this point. He definitely had eyes on the situation and would know if she tried to defy him. God, they were all gonna die. Of course, she tried to smile cheerily. You just come with me, hun. He smiled at her, and her heart melted a little. Maybe Nedzu couldn't corrupt this cute kiddo. Maybe they'd be fine. Ah, thank you, Kayama. He greeted her before the door was even fully opened, and she watched the green boy light up at the sight of the rat. Wonderful to see you, Izuku. You made such good time. Good use of your resources. The boy, Izuku, smiled bashfully and bowed at her. Thank you, Miss Midnight. She smiled. Of course. She turned to go, and the rat stopped her. Ah, and Kayama, perhaps keep all rumors of my student to yourself, I think everyone should have the chance to meet Itsuku themselves without previous bias. They're already biased, she screamed internally, because he's your personal student. You just want to revel in the reactions at seeing how young this kid is, and be even more terrified. "Sure thing, boss," she said out loud. God, this one was going to be a nightmare, and she couldn't even tell anyone so they could share her pain. As the door closed behind the pro, Nedzu's whiskers twitched in amusement. He could sense her bewilderment and distress, of course, and had a relatively idea of what was running through her head. But it was very amusing to watch her on the cameras when she realized exactly why Izuku was there. Wonderful. I trust the train ride was uneventful. The boy nodded. Good. No complications then. Very well. Now, I do have to technically teach you the curriculum for your year, but I know you favor science, yes? Quick science specifically. Izuku nodded rapidly, eyes sparkling. Yeah. Have you looked into the study of psychology at all? Um, that's the study of the brain, right? Nedzu grinned. Correct. I imagine if you had an understanding of how the human brain works, it might assist you in your quick study endeavors, of course. We could always learn the basic school stuffs, but it's up to you. The boy blinked, contemplative. It would be neat. Nedzu sat back in his chair. How about this? We can try a lesson. If you like it, we can continue. Izuku brightened and nodded. Okay. Excellent. First, we will learn about the different areas of the brain. Izuku very much liked psychology, he found. It was just so fascinating to learn about the different components of the brain and how they all work together. For example, at the back of his head, he had his occipital lobe that took all the information from his eyes and figured out what he was seeing by talking to the other centers in his brain. But what if I was blind? Izuku asked. Then my eyes aren't sending any information. An excellent question, which brings us to a new topic: neuroplasticity. Apparently, when you were really young, your brain was just figuring out how it was going to work and devoting areas to the brain to specific things. That's why people were only considered fully mature around the age of 25. That was when their brains stopped figuring themselves out because it was still figuring out how to do things. It had a pretty high plasticity or ability to change. If someone lost half their brain, for example, the other half would adapt to compensate for that loss. In the case of blind people, a whole occipital lobe was prioritized for other things based on what the person was most likely to need help on. Hmm, What are some what are some things a blind person might need to be better at? Nedzu's question had made perfect sense to Izuku. Blind people would need to be able to hear better, like bats, and maybe touch better since they read with their fingers, which had always seemed rather hard to Izuku. Indeed, Nezu smiled. There are often more neurons in the occipital lobe devoted to a blind person's sense of touch and sometimes their sense of hearing to help them perceive the world better. Very good, Izuku. The boy, if every lesson with Nezu was like that, he would always want to come back. Psychology and the brain were so interesting to learn about. The idea that Izuku could lose half his brain right now, and he would probably be okay because he was still young, was flabbergasting and exciting. Now, how do you feel about board games? Izuku blinked. Oh, sure, I don't really mind either way. Excellent, come with me. He slid a box off the shelf behind his desk and walked out of the office, Zuko trailing behind. He was taller than the principal, but not by much, so he had no trouble keeping up. They went back to the place Miss Midnight had found him and Nezu walked in. Hizuku having no choice to follow, even as he recognized the lead teacher's lounge. Ah, Aizawa, ectoplasm. Wonderful. You don't have class right now. Can I impress you for a game with me and Izuku? Izuku looked up to Ectoplasm in wonder. Sure, he knew UA only employed heroes as teachers, especially after seeing Miss Midnight, but to see another one in the flesh? He felt like he was going to bite it out of his skin, but he managed to contain himself and offer a shy wave. On the other hand, Aizawa didn't look nearly as familiar, but he sighed. Is this your personal student then? Yes, this is Izuku. Hello, Aizawa, sir. Kid, I am definitely not enough to be a sir. Anyway, it depends on the game. Ah, it isn't one I've had you play before, don't worry. This will be new to everyone. In fact, even I have only read the rules. Ectoplasm sighed. Sir, that is more than enough for you. But something tells me I don't really get to say no. You would be correct. He hopped up to a table in the back of the room. Nizuku sat himself nearby as Nedzu opened the box and started taking out cards and such. This game is called Sheriff of Nottingham. It is based somewhat on the old Robin Hood stories, and the goal is simple. We are each merchants trying to get our goods to market. Our goods options are apples, cheese, bread, and chickens. And then, of course, contraband. The sheriff's role will rotate between us, and everyone else will put cards in their bags. You declare what is your bag, all legal, of course, and the sheriff will determine if you can go to market or if he wants to search your bag. If you indeed have what you say you have, the sheriff has to pay you the penalty coins for every card he was wrong about. And you go to market. If he was right, you don't have what you said you have, then you pay him the penalty gold for every card that's contraband and must discard them. The penalty coins are listed in red on the bottom of the cards, 2 for regular goods and 4 for contraband. You can also bribe the sheriff to not check your bag, and then you go free. Deals are binding if and only if money exchanges hands and future promises are not held accountable. Are there any questions? Yes, Aizawa said. What's this on the side of the player mats? Ah, Nedzu purred. Those are the endgame bonuses. The winner in the game is determined by who has the most money after all the goods you successfully brought to the market are sold. There is a bonus for having the most goods and second most of any given good, including the contraband version of the goods. You'll notice that chickens, which are worth 4 gold apiece, have the lowest bonus for having the most, whereas apple, worth 2 gold each, have the highest bonus to even things out. How many cards can you take to market at once? Each player has 6 cards in their hand, and they can exchange with the discard pile or draw piles, but can only take 5 cards to market. Izuku swallowed nervously. What does the sheriff do when the other players are picking up out what to take to market? Nedzu grinned. Watching for hints, of course. You want someone to pick up 3 apples. You watch someone pick up 3 apples, for example, and then they say they are bringing 4 cheese. You know that's ridiculous, and can, of course, search their bag and take their money. Izuku nodded slowly. When you bribe the sheriff, does it have to be with money? The principal's grin sharpened. Ah, no, you don't. You can promise things in your bag or in your stall. Of course, if you promise a contraband from your bag and you bring none to market, then you have to pay, seeing as there was no contraband in your bag. Aizawa raised an eyebrow at his question and he ducked his head in a blush. It made sense that if you ran out of money, you could pay in goods, so why couldn't you pay in goods otherwise? If there are no more questions, I believe we can start. They were each dealt 6 of the cards, the rest going into a draw pile, with 3 face up in a stack on either side of the discard piles. Ectoplasm was the first sheriff. Izuku had 2 chickens, an apple, and 3 contraband. Silk, worth 8 gold, and 2 pepper, worth 6. Both of the discard piles had nothing but cheese and bread, so he took out the apple, discarded it, and drew from the top of the deck. Another apple. Nedzu went next, taking both the apple and 2 cards from the top of the deck, discarding 2 contraband, pepper and meat, worth 8, and another cheese, placing the cheese underneath the contraband to discourage people from taking it. Aizawa ignored that and took both contraband, discarding 2 bread. And now, Nedzu hummed, we place our goods in our bags. As soon as they are snapped shut, you can no longer remove the items inside until you are either searched or sent to market. Izuku worried his lips as he watched Nedzu put 4 cards into the bag. Aizawa put 3. 2 chickens didn't seem like enough even for the first turn. Wait, it was the first turn. He eyed the 3 cards in his hand and blinked. He had a plan. He snapped the bag shut, placing the rest of his hand on the table and looking expectantly at Ectoplasm, that round's sheriff. He looked at Izuku first, narrowing his eyes. I have 3 chickens, Nedzu piped up. 4 apples. 3 cheese. I can do this in any order, correct? Oh yes, you don't have to go in turn order. Ectoplasm wasted no time. Aizawa, there is no way you didn't even take the cheese beneath the contraband. Show me your bag. Aizawa wordlessly handed it over, face completely blank as Ectoplasm snapped it open, taking out the cards inside. 3 cheese. I believe you owe me 6 gold, Ecto. The cloning hero didn't say a word, handing over 6 and staring of his starting 50 gold. Aizawa wordlessly slipped the 3 cheese by his player mat. Ecto glanced at Izuku once more before turning to Nedzu, sitting serenely and sipping tea. None of them were quite certain when he'd gone, and he nervously looked at the bag. 4 apples, you say? Yes. Ectoplasm considered it before he sighed. I really can't read you. Go ahead to market. Ho ho ho! Nedzu chuckled. You didn't want to check my bag. 4 apples is a lot. Yeah, no, I'm good, thanks. Nedzu smiled and unsnapped his bag, carefully laying out 4 apples on his tablet. A wise decision. Wouldn't want you to be 8 gold poor. Want you to be 8 gold poor after all. Izuku was the last one, and he looked up at the hero completely nervous. Three chickens, you say? Yes, Mr. Ectoplasm, sir. He could feel the hero searching his eyes, but he didn't dare look away. Yeah, whatever. I hate that I had to go first. Go to market good. Izuku silently smiled softly and snapped open his bag. He slipped the 3 face-down cards on the top of his tableau, where contraband goes. Ectoplasm and Aizawa both did a double take, but Nedzu just cackled. Oh yes! He murmured around his teeth, looking at his completely innocent-looking student. This will be quite fun! Nedzu ended up winning the game, to no one's surprise. Between him and Izuku, they had most of the contraband, putting their scores much higher than either Aizawa or Ectoplasm. Ectoplasm bumped himself in last. Aizawa barely scraping by, but Izuku didn't think the man minded at all much, since he looked really tired of everything. Izuku was sad he only came in second, but it was his first time playing, and he didn't know much about what he was even doing. He had discovered he wasn't the best at reading people. So his times as sheriff were awful, but people also didn't expect him to be lying every time. And when he developed a pattern, he switched it up and only brought the completely legal goods to market. The time he had declared 5 chicken had been very exciting, since having 5 cars to bring to market was at once was rare. He made a cool 10 gold when Aizawa decided to check him on it. He got caught a few times by Nedzu, of course, but the exhilarating feeling of slipping contraband past his mentor was incredible. Ectoplasm was an easy mark. Aizawa less so, but Nedzu was practically a fortress. So he would take any victories he could get, no matter how small. How did you like the game? Nedzu asked when they were back in his office to wrap up the game. It was fun. I liked the bribery aspect because it was a lot of weighing the pros and cons and seeing how much money you can get out of people. But sneaking in contraband made me feel like I was getting away with something. He giggled, remembering the shocked look on Ectoplasm's face that first round when he had slipped 3 contraband out at once. Not even anything legal. One of his favorite things to do was pick up 2 or 3 cards and then declare them when his whole bag was actually full of contraband. It was even better when it were 2 or 3 rounds in a row, since clearly he must really have the cheese in his bag this time. There's no way he drew more contraband. He definitely did. Well, a well-placed sigh after drawing the deck served his purpose as well. It was quiet enough that it wasn't obvious, but loud enough that everyone probably heard it. A sigh on drawing meant all your cards were mismatched, and that meant you'd only have a small haul this time. 2 apples, clearly. Not a crossbow and silk, the 2 best contraband in the game, aside from the royal goods at 9 and 8 gold respectively. Clearly not. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Nezu hummed, sipping his tea once more. We might only play games like that once a week, so you can get to know the other staff and practice against people who are not me. But it would be lovely to play different games with you. But this time, it is time for you to go to catch the train home, isn't it? Izuku jumped, looking at the time. Oh yes, it is. See you tomorrow, Nezu-sensei. Nezu waved goodbye to his pupil, and Izuku bounded out the door, dragging his backpack with him as he hurried to the station. He'd have so much to tell his mom. In an elementary school across town, an angry blonde glared at the empty desk. Where the hell was the nerd? And that was the end of chapter 3. What was it called? Chapter 3. Chapter 3, A Game of Liars. Yeah, from of Zutopia by Itslivybear. And I think the game sounded really fun, and I think you could probably recreate it with like homemade cards or something. But you'd probably have to like search it up or something. But the author, it's Lady Bear, says they recommend playing it, and they wish it was, and they hope it was the description of the game was enough for us to understand what's going on. But I think it is enough. And fuck my voice. Nezu speaking this much this one and in the future is gonna fuck my vocal cords. Well, at least I think this will be done in about like 3 times 23 divided by 7. It will be like done in like 8 weeks, like 2 months. It will be. I will most probably finish this series in 2 months minimum, or 11, 12 weeks divided by 4, or 3 months at most, around there. Or if I only decide to post 1 chapter one chapter each week of this, then it take about almost 6 months. But I think I finished in 3 months. So yeah, I hope you guys like this and check them out, link in the description. Please subscribe. I know this is like also a passion project of mine, but I want to get like at least to like a goal of like, I don't know, 500, 250, I don't know. So yeah,